Oh, okay, sure.
All right, good morning once again. Hope everybody's had a fabulous week. I mean, I had an interesting one, but yeah, every day we build on what happened the previous day. So I'm happy that we are here this morning, and I'm happy that we started a new book, and I'm happy that Charlie, well, things are going the way they are supposed to go. Hopefully, it will turn around. Like the reason why things are happening the way they are happening will be apparent a few years to come. So yeah, we'll go through it for now. So we have moved on to this book, How to Lead, How to Lead by Joe Owen. And I mean, I have started. I am on chapter 8, almost done with the first part. And I must say, it's a very I like the way the book is written. I mean, it's quite clear, quite straight to the point. No beating about the bush. It makes for an easy read. I mean, you keep turning the pages and you don't even realize that you are making progress. So I like how the book is written, and I'm happy that I'm learning quite a few things from here. So let me quickly well, somebody has joined us. iPhone, can you introduce yourself so we know who you are? We have Wilson, we have Lonyo, and we have myself, Kelvin, on this call. But I don't know who iPhone is. So Mr. or Miss iPhone, can we know who you are? All right, whenever they are ready. So from the introduction, it's yes.
Okay, this is Henry Cool.
Oh wow, Henry, good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm blessed by grace.
Awesome. Hope you had a good week.
Yes, please.
Wonderful. All right, good to have you. All right, so I mean, the introduction, it starts off by saying that leadership is too often shrouded in mystery, and this is so true. I mean, Charlie, it's such a mysterious topic, mysterious subject area. I mean, but as we read, as we break it down, I mean, it gets more and more personal. So yeah, that's why it's good to read, because when to become leaders, we are urged to become a combination of Genghis Khan, Nelson Mandela, Machiavelli, and Gandhi. Few people feel they are already that good. They are the sort of leaders who is well worth not working for. The rest of us feel slightly small when measured against such giants. And it's true. So the examples of leadership that they give, Charlie, sometimes it's very difficult to measure. I mean, not sometimes, all the time, it's difficult to measure up to them, because you see yourself. I mean, you know your flaws, you know the challenges they're going through, and everybody expects you, especially if they happen to put you in a position that actually requires you to act like a leader. I mean, everybody is a leader in their own right, but sometimes you are put in a position where you are forced to, be the one that everybody comes to. So the assumption is that once you're in that position, you should know what to do. But half the time, you really have no idea what you're supposed to do. And everybody's expecting you to be Nelson Mandela, expecting you to be Margaret Thatcher, expecting you to be Kwame Nkrumah. They come to you with the weirdest of challenges, and you really have no clue how to go about it. But I guess that's also why it's important that, it's important that when you're put in a position of leadership, you don't just sit in that position, but you try and improve yourself, develop yourself. That's why it's important to be part of a club like this where we read and expand our knowledge base, but it doesn't end there, because if you just read and acquire the knowledge, it doesn't change much. It is when you make use of the knowledge, you apply the knowledge in your daily activities, that is when it becomes obvious that you know something. So one of my mentors will tell me that don't tell me what you know, show me. Don't just talk about knowing things, show me what you know. I'm sure, I don't know if anybody has started the book yet, but I'm sure you've had some experience in leadership. So what are some of the challenges that you have had in the past? I don't know, Wilson, Lolonyo, and Henry, have you had any challenges with leadership in the past, either you being the leader or someone else being the leader and you trying to get information or get that person to do what they're supposed to do? What have been your challenges so far?
Okay, I think my challenge. Okay.
All right, Henry, go ahead.
Okay, my challenge has been taking bold and hard decisions.
So what do you think bold and hard decisions?
Sometimes you want to take some decisions and a hard one, then you feel, I don't know, like you are stuck. You don't know whether to go ahead or not.
So what do you do in that situation?
So I don't know. That is one of the challenges I get, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
you take some decisions and you regret them.
Charlie, you know, easy like that. All right, all right.
Sometimes a problem will come and you wouldn't know how to approach it. You have to outsource for information for maybe a senior colleague or maybe your mentor, something of that sort.
So how do you know which decisions to outsource and which ones to take by yourself?
that is okay. So some decisions you actually have an idea. When you have an idea, it's not difficult to take it. But sometimes you don't even have any knowledge about it. How to solve the problem, how to maybe decide on what to do. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see if as the others share, maybe something will come out of it. So let's hear from the others. So Wilson.
Yeah, doctor. Yeah. For me, in my experience, the most difficult part or the most difficult thing in leadership is getting everyone moving in the right direction, or in the direction that you've all, especially when you're trying to lead a group, because in my experience, everyone comes to a group with different opinions and experiences and of what direction or in which way we should go. And getting everyone to move in a decision that to move in the direction that you've all agreed upon is a very difficult task, because everyone thinks they know what should be done or what is right in a certain situation. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I think that's the most difficult part in leadership for me. That is in getting people to move together towards a certain goal. So that's because when you're trying to do that, you may step on people's toes, you may offend people, but it's difficult to manage people in that way. That's what I found in my experience.
But how do you know that the direction you are trying to go is the right one in the first place?
You see, doctor, that's the thing. You see, you meet and then you build consensus. We all agree that, okay, guys, we are doing it this way. You understand? Because as a leader, you don't know everything. You have to seek consensus. You have to sit down and discuss things with people. Not all decisions have to come off the top of your head. You have to sit down, especially you have to sit down with the people that their decision is going to impact. But even after that, you find that someone will go and come back and say, no, I think we should go this way instead. But we've already decided that we're going right. You see, someone will come back and say, no, let's go left. So that's a difficult thing for me. That's a difficult thing that I struggle to manage.
All right. How about Irene? Did you catch the question?
No, can you say it again?
Well, we are just talking about the leadership challenges. What challenges have you had being the leader versus you looking up to another person as the leader?
I think when I have to be the leader myself, like it reminds me that I have a very big responsibility to figure it out, right? And then I wonder, okay, so is it the right thing? So am I making a mistake? Am I actually doing the right thing for the team? And what will work right in the moment, right? Because I guess in some situations, I haven't had that experience yet. So I can't say that, okay, so this is the path you go, because last time it worked out that way. But then I guess sometimes I just have to say, okay, so I'm going to try this out, and then hopefully it's going to work, right? And well, I guess that's one of the reasons why we keep learning, right? As the book is saying, so that when some situations come, then it's easier to find out the best way to deal with them. Yeah. So for me, I think that's the challenge, just making sure that we're on course and then that I'm doing the right thing that will work for the team at the end of the day. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's switch it up a bit. So I mean, for those who have started the book, I was saying earlier that I like how the book is written. I mean, it's quite easy, like it flows. It's easy to read. I mean, even I'm on chapter 8 and I'm not a fast reader, so you can imagine. I mean, it's like you don't even realize when you're turning the pages, like it just flows. I just like it. Anyway, so quick one. So there's a section in the introduction. We haven't even left introduction yet. It talks about the qualities that people expect of a leader. So let's just brainstorm. What are some of the qualities that you expect from a leader? So maybe this one we'll go to Sumaila. What are some of the qualities that you expect in a leader or expect from a leader in terms of behaviors and attitudes?
Doc, good morning to you all.
Morning.
I hope this is just going to come from my head, but not from the book, because
No,
I haven't started.
it's not from the book. It's just a general question. What do you expect from a leader in terms of attitudes and behavior qualities?
Yeah, so for me, the modern leader, one of the key things that is expected of a modern leader is one, good communication skills. And what I mean by good communication skills is that the ability of the leader to be able to communicate exactly what he wants or want to be done to the subordinates and those who are following. And then they are able to pick it up. So for me, one of the good qualities of a leader has to do with communication. The second one I value so much as well just has to do with, I don't know, should I say transparency? So if a leader is transparent, of course, the subordinates would trust him, and then they are willing to do anything for the leader. So transparency for me is also another good quality I can't leave out when it comes to leadership. The other thing about leadership has to do with vision. So the third quality I'll talk about leadership has to do with vision. So your ability to focus in the future and then give direction. So, of course, once you're a leader, you should always give direction to whatever that others have to do. So you should have that vision. So maybe let me just pause at this three. Colleagues can also add some.
All right, Mami, how about you? It's been a while. Good to have you back.
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to have you back.
The cares of this world.
So what are some of the qualities that you'd expect in a leader?
Okay, I think Sumaila touched on almost everything. But then as a leader, you must know the difference between being assertive and then being rude.
Okay.
And then being aggressive. I noticed that for the few people that are kind of worked under, they cannot tell the difference between, I think it's a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you are assertive, it comes across like you are rude. But in another setting, me, the same person, being assertive, no one see anything wrong with it. So I would say that in my early days here in Ghana, I struggled. Even when I'm being assertive and I'm smiling at it, people don't get it. Then it took people a while. So I think as a leader, you must have the, I don't know how to put it, but you should know, as a leader, you should be assertive and should be firm, but also you should have, I don't know whether to call it apathy for your team members, so that you'll be able to put yourself in their shoes. When you're able to put yourself in their shoe, considering their background and where they are coming from, you wouldn't see an assertive person as a rude person. That is what I think, in addition to what Smala has said. And then also, as a leader, you must have emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is key because you are leading. You understand the goal better than every team member. But also remember that every team member is coming from a different background with a different orientation. So the way you interpret the goal to every team member is different. So you must have an emotional intelligence in a way that you are able to interpret the goal to every individual from where they stand by, I don't know how to put it, but considering their strength. There are people, the moment you introduce the goal, they are like, yeah, we are for it. There's another group of people, they will wish that you break this down to tell them what they need to do. So I think, like they say in fire, you don't leave anybody behind. As a leader, you must have an emotional intelligence to pull everyone along. That is also another thing I think as a leader you must have.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, guys, I'm not necessarily going to call everybody. So if you have an opinion to share on something, please just go ahead and talk when somebody ends. Otherwise, I'll be switching back and forth because it's a big book. So we are going to be going in and out of various things. Now, just to touch on, being a leader, they talk about vision. And then this book also talks about keeping things simple. Like you must have an idea, just one idea. And so it gives an examples of various brands that have been built on just a single idea. And from that idea, they've leveraged on that idea and built conglomerates and built successful businesses. So for instance, it talks about Facebook. The idea of Facebook is very simple: connecting friends. That's the idea. Toyota, quality as reliability. That's the idea. Shazam, identifying the music you are listening to. Microsoft, dominating desktop operating systems. And just from this idea, if the idea is simple enough, like Mamiya was saying, if the idea is simple enough, it's easy to explain to others. Sometimes when the idea is complicated, it makes it difficult, it makes it difficult to express the idea, and then everybody's confused and they are going back and forth. So as a leader, what is your idea for the organization? Are you the vision bearer, or you are the one, going to run somebody else's vision? Whatever be the case, there needs to be a central theme that you are buying into, you're going to build on, or you're going to use to build whatever you're going to build. So if you take Facebook, just connecting friends, that's all. Let's connect friends. And then now out of this connecting friends, you have Facebook itself, you have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, and several other things. Now they are even trying to provide free internet to the world. I mean, it's just started from an idea, but all the qualities you've mentioned are right. They are all quality. In fact, the book lists ability to motivate others, vision, honesty and integrity, decisiveness, and ability to handle crisis. And this applies whether in business, in family, in personal life. If you don't have the ability to handle crisis, you'll be in big trouble. I mean, take this year, 2023, for instance. It has the way 2023 has started is like it's a crisis on its own, And so if you don't learn how to adapt, then you are going to be in trouble, because there's a lot of things that are not going as planned. A lot of things. I mean, if you're in Ghana, for instance, look at the debt exchange. Banks, a lot of companies, especially banks, are not increasing salaries this year. They are not paying bonuses this year. I'm sure, Mami, I don't know if your people are affected, but a lot of places are not doing that. So if you're the person who was depending on the bonus or the salary increase, let's say go and pay what's it called, school fees. I mean, you're in trouble. That's a crisis right there.
No bonus.
I know, right? So a lot of things have not gone well this year, So it's a crisis. So if you don't have the ability to manage that crisis, then I guess you need to develop yourself as a leader a bit more. You're not there yet. So we need to develop ourselves. But then the other thing too is that nobody is ever there yet. Even though you may be here and thinking that person is already there. No, because guess what? One key attribute of leaders is that they are always learning. They are always reading. I mean, the top CEOs in the world, they are always reading. So if you and me, that we are just now starting and we refuse to read, I don't understand. I don't know what to tell you, because the top CEOs, they are reading. They are reading. Go and check their bio and they will tell you how many books they've read this year. Okay. But this book goes on to talk about learning to lead. And the first thing under that topic is that, so you cannot succeed by trying to become someone else. But equally, you cannot succeed by just being yourself. And I actually highlighted that point. I highlighted that point because it's very interesting. It says that you cannot, if you are becoming a leader, you cannot succeed by trying to become someone else. And you can also not succeed by just being yourself. In other words, at least from where I'm sitting, you cannot say that that's how I am. That statement, that's how I am. It doesn't put food on anybody's table. You cannot get any significant success by being just how you are. You need to improve yourself. You need to, I don't know how many of you joined my session with Jessica over the weekend, right? And you know, when you are like, there are so many different schools of thought. And one school of thought says that be yourself, enjoy what you're doing, and then people will buy into it. Then another school of thought, which is where Jessica is coming from, is that sell what the market wants to buy. You know, and I agree with the second school of thought. You see, everybody is born with some innate, you know, skills and talents and all that. Yes, if you're in an environment where you are able to develop your skill and your talent, it's perfect, it's brilliant. You know, eventually somebody will buy into your talent. But if you find yourself in another jurisdiction where they really don't care much for your talent, then it might be a bit foolhardy to go ahead and keep pushing that talent, you know. So the reason why I brought Jessica in is that when she started her channel, her YouTube channel, she was just dropping any content that she came across. So there's real estate, there's finance, there's relationship, there's whatever, marriage, everything. She was just dropping anything. And eventually she narrowed down to her niche because of the market demand. So she realized that some content that she put up was getting more traction than other content. So why do you want to waste time on a content that nobody wants if there's a content that somebody wants? So she decided to focus on that content that everybody wanted. And now, I mean, she's blowing up, you know. Now, so you are this way, and instead of improving yourself to become something that the market actually wants, you insist on being the same way you want. Meanwhile, you don't have the resources to push that brand, because resources is another thing. If you have the resources to drive whatever you are selling, indeed, eventually people will become aware of it. If you make enough noise, somebody will buy. But if you don't have the resources, then you have to leverage on what the market already wants. And that's the kind that's what I got from this point about, you know, learning to be a leader. You know, by all means, you can model yourself again after Nelson Mandela or whoever you want to model yourself after. But the reality is, where you find yourself is a Nelson Mandela kind of attitude, the best thing to use in that area. No offense, Nelson Mandela. I mean, he's a great guy, level. In fact, his level 100 leader on the scale. But the point I'm making is that does his style of leadership apply in every sector, every industry, every role that he played? Now that's the question I'll throw to Abdul. So Abdul, what do you think? I mean, this part about you cannot succeed by trying to become someone else. I don't know if you have started a book. Have you started a book? Abdul, are you there? Or anybody else want to chip in?
Yes, I'm here, Doc. Yeah, I've started the book already. Yeah. So the question again.
I was saying that, you know, there's a portion that talks about learning to lead, and it says you cannot succeed by trying to become someone else, but equally you cannot succeed by just being yourself. And I was asking what you thought about that.
Oh yes, I think it's true. You can't be like someone. You know, sometimes we think of when we are in we have a leadership role, we see ourselves to, you know, sometimes we compare ourselves to some of the big leaders, you know, and he gave an example, like you can't be like Napoleon or Mother Teresa, but then you can brighten your own corner. You can become the best version of yourself. And, you know, by doing that, you can become a good leader. So for me, I think it's very true. You just have to be the best version of yourself, and you know, and that is it. I don't know if I've answered the question.
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. So yes, you have answered the question. I mean, that's why we are here to share our take on everything.
So you just have to be the best version of yourself. You have to work on your strengths, not your weaknesses. Yeah. And I think yes, you said that one too. Yeah, working on your strengths but not your weaknesses.
Well, yeah. And that's a very interesting concept. We're working on your strength and not your weakness, because I thought everybody worked on their weaknesses.
You know, he said you can work around your weaknesses, but then you have to build on your strengths. Yes, you know, and it's very true. You know and you see, you can't be good at everything.
Yeah.
As a leader, you can't be good at everything. You just have to be good at something. It could be one thing. You understand? Yeah. So whatever that you're good at, you just work on it better. Are you getting me?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So I think that one too is very true. You work on your strengths and instead of you working on your, weaknesses. Yeah. And he said everyone can also lead. That is one of the things that I really love in the introduction. Everyone can become a good leader. You just have to start. You don't have to be perfect. Just be good at one thing, and you can become a good leader. Yeah. So I don't know if I can add more.
I bet you have more to add why?
Yes, the part when he said, leading from the middle. You see, yes, and he gave an example of the BRICS manager. He wasn't the main CEO, but he was able to brighten his corner, and this affected the whole, agenda of the CEO. You understand? So sometimes you don't have to be the main leader, but then wherever we find ourselves, when we become good versions of ourselves, it will definitely affect the whole team's agenda. Yeah. So I think that one too is very, very true. Yeah. So this is what I can share for now. I don't know if, yeah.
All right.
So,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, asking me that should you share more? Of course. Hey, what's that? Anyway, anybody else has anything they want to add?
Yeah, Doc, let me add this little bit to what Mr. Malik just said.
All right.
You see, for me, the fact is that once you don't live your plan, somebody is going to add you to his or her plan. And you are going to be living in the dream or goal the person has set for himself. And then I think we have learned a lot about goal setting. And learning a lot about goal setting, I think if you want to live like somebody, instead of living your own life, what it simply means is that you have no direction. And once you have no direction, I'm not sure you can be a leader. And then if you cannot be a leader, then you are just following. So what it simply means is that someone has his plan, he's living by his plan. Then somewhere along the way, you see another one you are going to copy. Then you join that person's plan. You don't even know where the person is going. So that means you never have an end point, and you don't even know what you want to achieve. So that makes it very difficult for you to become a successful person. So for me, I think it's right to say that you have to be you. And then if you are you, that means you have set goals, and then you know what you want to achieve in life. Then you move to achieve those things. So for me, that's what I want to add to the question you just asked.
Thank you very much. All right. So it says in chapter 2, it talks about why chapter 1 talks about the idea. I mean, I think I touched on that earlier. The idea, what ideas do you have, and that you have to take control. Like the idea needs to be simple and straightforward kind of thing, and it compares, it uses some of the British prime ministers, to see how people perceive them after they left office. When they mention, let's say, Tony Blair, what comes to everybody's mind? And they say what comes to mind is the Iraq War. And so I think what they are trying to capture here is that it doesn't matter the thousands of things you're going to do. Eventually, you're going to remember for one thing. And what's that one thing going to be? So you can either take charge and make that one thing clear to you and everybody else, or, well, you can allow anything to go, because all these prime ministers that they listed, they all did so many things. But most people, when you mention their name, you only remember them for one particular thing. In fact, there was a particular one that nobody seemed to remember. Let me see if I'll find the names somewhere. Okay, look at that. Wilson. There's a guy called Wilson, one of the prime ministers, and people would remember him for smoking a pipe. That's what they remember him for. Like he was always smoking a pipe. That's all. I mean, imagine to be a prime minister and they want to remember you for smoking a pipe. I mean, that tells a lot, And then somebody called Callaghan is remembered for blackouts. for blackouts. Charlie, in Ghana, I'm sure when we mention some of our presidents, we will remember them for various things as well. But let's move on. So then in chapter 2, it talks about raise your ceiling of success. Your success, and this is it, your success is limited by your ambition. You are unlikely to achieve more than you planned for, unless you hope to get lucky. But hope is not a method and luck is not a strategy. And this has come up in various other books that we've discussed even on this platform. Your success is limited by your ambition. You are unlikely to achieve more than you plan for. And this goes to Smiler's point about goal setting. If you don't plan for it, you cannot achieve it. And put another way, if you don't see it in your mind's eye, you can never become it. So you really have to know where you're going, and that's where the idea comes back again. If you don't have any clue what you're doing in a particular position, then you have no business being in that position. And so if you happen to find yourself put in a certain position where you have no clue, you have two choices. You either leave or you learn quickly and adapt to that position and make it your own and make that difference. Because if you don't, the thing about leadership, if we go back to the chapter 1, it says if you want to lead, you have to make a difference. And so if you are not making a difference, and here I'm talking about a positive difference, because obviously if you are not going for it, you are definitely going back. There's no standing still in any form in this life that we are living. Every day we are moving forward or we are retrogressing. So if you're a leader and you're not moving forward with your team, then you are going backwards. So yes, you have your ambition, your what you plan for. I mean, this is just to back what Sumaila had mentioned about goal setting. A lot of us are moving around this world or this life without setting goals. You sleep, you wake up, and you just start moving. We don't have anywhere that we are going. We don't know where we are going. We don't know how we are getting there. Like, there's no plan. We're just taking it one day at a time, as they say. But you cannot just take one day at a time. Must lead to somewhere. If you are just taking it one day at a time, well, I don't know what you are doing. So really, you must set a goal. You must know where you are going. You must have an idea at least where you are going, so that everything that you're doing is targeted or tailored towards that idea that you have. Otherwise, any wind blows and you're chasing it left and right, it's not going to be of help to you or anyone that's coming up after you. Any opinions on this? We have. Hello, who's talking?
No, yeah, please go ahead. When you're done, I'll come.
Okay, so. Oh, Irene, go on. Okay, so let me take it then.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, I noticed something in chapter 2. Basically, I think is looking at self-awareness as a person. You should know who you are, and that comes back to the fact that you cannot be somebody else, and you can also not just be you. Mm-hmm. Now I realize that the world is becoming like Doc, you said, if Doc is doing A and it's working for him, then I want to go to Doc and say, teach me to do A. Meanwhile, I am a B. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I am a B. So what I saw at chapter 3 was that there's something called competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. Basically, the book is this is what I picked from chapter 2, is like leverage on your competitive advantage, but then manage your disadvantage and then learn from those who are ahead of you. This is how I got it. You need to know your competitive advantage. Let me take, for instance, a bank, because that's the nearest I can look at. Let's take, for instance, a bank. If you are a bank, you have stock in trade and you have a competitive advantage. Now, one of the things you don't do as a bank is that you don't go into charity. That is why society has allowed you to have what? Social responsibility towards your community. But the moment you go leveraging on social responsibility, going into charity as your main thing, the focus is lost. So basically, at the end of the day, you should know what your strengths are, which is your competitive advantage. Leverage on it, develop it, and then also come back and look at your weaknesses and see how best you can manage it alongside so that it doesn't have a negative impact on your strength. You hear people say, "Media sana ya bomb." But truth of the matter is, the reason why your ball was sano, but you grew up is that so that you can learn, so that your environment can rub on you. So this thing of, oh, this is how I am, this is how I was born, I think is not the best. But then as a leader, you must know your strength, you must know your weaknesses. Both your strength and your weaknesses can benefit you depending on how you alternate the two. So I saw at chapter 2 that is an issue of competitive advantage, leverage on it, and then let it benefit you as a person, your society, and then the world as a whole.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Irene.
Yeah, so for me, I think that I'm going to comment on the part where he said that we shouldn't just like take it as it goes, right? I think just as you say, in terms of goal setting, right, that we need to start with the end in mind. And I think that was such a key reminder for us. And just as Samantha was saying that, oh, that's okay, so what's the 5-year plan? What's the 10-year plan? Exactly where do we intend to go? Because I think that in that way, we'll be able to give much more clarity to the team as leaders, because we know where we are going at the end of the day, right? You mentioned the different companies that you mentioned, sorry, that have one main idea that they are working towards, so because they know what they are working towards, it's easier for them to say, okay, so in the next 5 years, this is what we want to accomplish in terms of this particular thing. In the next 10 years, then it's easier to set out things for the team to do, So I think that the book really lays emphasis on the leader to be able to determine where exactly are we going, right? Because there's a part, I think in chapter 3 or so, where he's like, okay, so as a leader, you shouldn't confuse your team. You need to have that clarity. So I think that that's just one key thing for us to know, to have that focus, so that when we have that one clear idea of where we are going, it's easier to streamline the activities and then make sure that they align with that. He mentioned this particular airline, which began as its main thing was like, okay, so everything I'm doing is to save costs or something, right? So it's going to be very economical for everybody to travel. Ryanair, thank you, Ryanair. So like the leader started out with that. And so because he started with that end in mind, that everything is like let's cut costs and save, cost for the customer, they were able to align everything that they were doing, from ticketing to their turnaround time, to landing at low cost airports and then all that, just to make sure that that end vision of, cutting travel costs for the customer, was achieved. At the end of the day, though, it says that he had to adapt, which is, I guess, another lesson in itself. But then at least he had that central thing that he was focusing on. And so I think that as leaders, it's also important, to have that one thing. And then maybe the last thing that I'll say is basically that I like the idea that we don't need to be perfect. Just as Abdul Malik mentioned, that we don't have to be all those like Mahatma Gandhi and then everybody, right? I like the fact that it's pointing out to us that we need to leverage on our strengths, and then, recognize that the more that we build on other people's experiences, the more that we are also willing to start from somewhere, the easier it is to become, the leader that we want at the end of the day. Because, interestingly, he mentioned that, you think that people would say that it's books or courses that teach them most about leadership, but then it's actually through experience that a lot of people learn about leadership. So yeah, I think it's important for us to set those goals and then just to start from somewhere, right? And then, of course, continue to pick from as many experiences as we can. Yeah, so that's it from me for now.
All right. Well, now Dolly has a question on the platform. Yeah, I don't know the answer. It says, how can a woman stand out so she can be chosen as a leader, especially in a country where a man is likely to be picked as a leader than a woman? What do people see in a woman which would make them choose a woman as a leader? That question is to the house. $1
million question.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you see, the thing is, you have to understand that from time immemorial, the people have been conditioned a certain way. Our upbringing in terms of our home upbringing, and even our formal educational upbringing, places a limitation on how people think in general. I'm speaking in general, whether male or female, there's a limitation that is placed on us by our culture and also by our formal training. You know, so of the block, there are mental walls that have been erected in all of us. You know, that is very difficult to overcome. You know, so that's why we are struggling. We are struggling on two levels. The first level is that women themselves are not putting themselves out there for certain positions. I mean, let's look at the political landscape. Even though on paper, I mean, me, I'm not in that space, so I don't know. But even on paper, a lot of incentives have been put in place for women to actually participate in politics. You know, the women themselves are not putting themselves up for those roles, and this could be from the cultural perspective, because at home, they are not being allowed to the chance to even go out there and pick the forms that need to be picked because of the mental blocks, the walls that have been erected in the minds of their partners or their family, you know. So it's not an easy question to answer, you see, because again, I go back on paper, my mommy is in the bank right now. If I put in a request for a business loan, right? And let's say Irene puts in a request for a business loan, they probably, assuming all things are equal, all things being equal, we all have brilliant business plans, we all have brilliant books, everything is solid. The probability that Irene will get the loan ahead of me is actually high because women are being given a lot of priorities. But then the question is, how many women-led businesses are actually putting in these requests? So again, it comes back to the cultural part or the cultural point that I'm making. You know, so it's really not a simple, straightforward question to answer, you know, but I mean, this is just me, you know, rambling or mumbling. So I leave the question to the rest of us. Maybe Lolonyo or Irene can chip in. Sumaila, anybody?
So if I want to take this, I would say that women in leadership is a long way home. No. It's a long way home because all over the world, men or society is yet to adjust that women have a part to play in the whole leadership arena, because from the word go, you are groomed. Take Africa, take our society, for instance. You are groomed for marriage and the kitchen. This is the, hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
My network is missing. It's raining at my end. I don't know about yours, though.
It's about to start.
It's raining heavily at my end. So this is it. The orientation is started from time immemorial. I've forgotten, but I think one UN secretary said that women empowerment will actually become a thing of the day after 300 years. I've forgotten who said that. And I read a few comments and people were like, how can he say that? But truth of the matter is, the person who made that statement understood where we are coming from. The very foundation of society, is male dominated. But I have also come to realize that as you continue to be a better person as a woman, as you continue to be a better leader in your own small way, in your environment, and then it goes into the community, society begins to understand. Yes, someone will say that I can't sit down for a woman to lead me. But then the question is, when a man led, what happened? Take Ghana, for instance. Men have been leading us since. Look at where we find ourselves. So if a woman can make a case and it can appeal to people, it can appeal to the mind of society, the owners or quote unquote, the leaders of society, definitely. But it is not an easy task. It's a long way from home, if you ask me. But then we will get there someday.
But me, I actually like I like the angle you're coming from about putting what they call like track record kind of thing, you know, because that has also been my challenge, because it looks as if oftentimes, especially on the political landscape, because that's the easiest leadership example to give. It looks as if on the political landscape, a lot of women just market themselves as women. Vote for me because I'm a woman. You know, what's your track record? You know, what have you been able to do in your personal capacity? the fact of the matter is that if enough women, I mean, if we had, let's say 2 women going head to head, then we can equally say, okay, so now both of them are women. So now we can look beyond the womanhood and then now discuss, okay, so what are they bringing to the table? Because if all you are bringing is that I'm NPP and I'm a woman, so vote for me. I mean, you're not likely to catch somebody like me. Or if all you are saying is I'm NBC.
Yeah, you must have a point of reference. You must have a point of reference.
Exactly. Yeah. So like you said, it starts from your little corner. You do something there, you build it up, maybe business, because the thing is now, and here's the thing, we are in an era of digital media. You don't need anybody's permission to blow up. And that's the beauty of the space we are right now. You don't need anybody's permission. Everybody might prevent you from going into political leadership, but you can, if you started your own, let's say, Facebook or YouTube or whatever, everybody will recognize that this person has something, and people will start approaching you to come and give talks, lectures here and there, and you are building your brand. You have something to leverage on. So if you're in today's world, I don't think that we should allow people to dictate to us what we can or cannot do. The point is there a market for whatever I'm presenting, whatever I'm putting out there? Do people want to hear me? You have a phone. Put out your content, do something, people are going to gravitate towards you and push you to actually do more than you even thought was possible, so I mean, that's my little thing, but like I said, I'm not really answering the question because I don't know the answer to the question. Anybody else?
Yeah, so I think that maybe what I'll add is just something that Dr. Kelvin was saying. Of course, Mamia also, made a great point about the fact that we are making progress, right? As she said, it will take some time, but then the good thing is that we're making progress. And as Dr. Kelvin is saying, it's important, to project what we are doing as much as possible. I don't think it's right to say, okay, so I'm a woman, okay, so voice for me because I'm a woman, right? Like, just as Dr. Kelvin is saying, I think it's important to start to document whatever we are doing, because that will then clearly show that, yes, these are the key things that I'm doing. These are the key things that I'm working on. These are the key experiences that I've built along the journey that are going to, to help me to serve in this position. There's a lady I follow on LinkedIn. She's called Mario Otto. And then I also follow Bozoma, the lady, I've forgotten the company, but really strong St. John, right? I'm sure that you might know. So I follow her on Instagram, and basically she says that one thing that has not been happening is that women haven't been promoting ourselves, right? So just as Dr. Kelvin has been saying, okay, so what content are we putting out, right? We need to share our story. I think that sometimes what happens is that we leave it to the men. Okay, so now you guys go ahead and then do this. You guys go ahead and showcase what you're doing. But we are doing amazing initiatives. And I think that the more that we showcase these, the more that we inspire other women to also, rise and then showcase what we are doing in different areas, right? And there's this quote that I read across social media this week where Bozoma St. John was saying that if nobody will promote her, she's going to promote herself. And so I think that's where we are right now. So that's the angle that we need to take, right? We need to do different things that will showcase to people that, yes, we are in the lead. Yes, we have the capacity to lead. And then also when we are doing that, I think that we are reminding the larger society that, yeah, like, look at this, like, you may have downplayed women for some time, but now that's no longer the way we are doing, right? Because there's a lot of capacity that women have. And then when we leverage that capacity, it's going to, support some development in different ways. And then Dr. Kelvin spoke about the kind of affirmative action that's been taken, at the bank, that probably I'll get the loan earlier than, Dr. Kelvin will get it. And I think that that's another key thing that we could do to remind each other to, also play our part, right? Make sure that women have access to the skill sets that they need in our different, environments. This may be in our different spaces, right? It might be from the little level to the large level, right? But then let's consciously work against the bias of each other, and then encourage our friends in their different spaces to also work across the bias. Because I'm sure that all of us have that capacity. Once we keep building that capacity, we'll definitely be able to get to that point where we are, we are nearer equality, right? And then eventually achieve the equality that we want. So I think for me, that's it for now. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else has any take they want to put across? Please feel free to do that. And there's still a lot that we haven't touched on. If you want to be seen as a leader, you have to make a difference. Okay, Rachel, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. To contribute to what the discussion, I believe action speaks louder than words, as the saying goes. So, if it comes to men, when it comes to women, we should let what we are doing, like you said, speak for us. And even when it comes to men, we believe more in titles. You know, I want the title for this, but we do nothing. So I believe that we should let what we are doing speak for us. So when what you are doing is showing results, everybody will begin to point to you that, Charlie, you are the qualified one who can lead. You are the qualified one who can do the work. So as women, we have to let our works speak. Whatever you are doing in your little corner, brighten that corner. Let everybody see that this is what you are doing. And once everybody is seeing and can tell that truly what you are doing makes you fit to be able to handle any other leadership position, it will be given to you, and men will even come to you, gravitate towards you, and learn from you and find out what you are doing to excel, and they will learn from you. But if we just want to just say that, okay, women are marginalized, so we should want women to fill positions, it's a good call, but with what
Did we lose you?
Works, with what we have to show women, we have to show working. You know, that's you know, you look at leadership across Africa, and it's nothing to write home about. Everybody just wants to become a president, but what is it that you want to put across? One of the potential flag bearers of one of the parties was asked, "Why do you want to become a president?" He says, "I want to become a flag bearer for my party and be able to contribute to my party." You know,
Okay, it looks like we lost Christo again. Charlie, it's not some of the
why do you want to become president of Ghana? I want to become the. You mean like for the presidency? For what? It's really. So that's a little I also want to add. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's another question. So now, does a woman need any additional qualities to be a leader as compared to a man? Any opinions on that? I don't think so. I mean, I think the leadership qualities are the same, whether you're male or female. That's what I think. But I don't know if anybody has any different opinion about that. I don't know, Henry, we haven't heard from you in a while. And Lolo John as well. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Yes, so please the question again.
I was saying that does a woman need any additional qualities to be a leader as compared to a man?
Yes. You see, leadership is a principle, you see, and it's something that we learn and prove that we can actually lead. You know, for a woman to be chosen as a leader, you need to exhibit extra characters. You have to stand out. You have to show things or do things to stand out among your peers. Do you get me? Yeah. So if you're a woman and you don't stand out among your peers, it will be very difficult for you to be chosen. Like, let's say, for instance, you are in a group, or maybe you are in a corporate world, or you are in the same company together, and they want to choose a leader. It will be very difficult for a woman to come in mind unless you are exhibiting I don't know how to put this. Unless you are standing out among all of you. If you are not standing out, it will be very difficult for you to be chosen. So that is why women sometimes find it difficult to be chosen as leaders. Yeah, so that is the little I can also say. Forgive me, I was distracted by my baby, so I wasn't really paying attention.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, so I'd say that probably for me the qualities are the same, just as the Kelvin was saying. Maybe the only thing that I add is, like actually standing up and then doing the thing, or having that courage to make that move. I think that sometimes what happens is that men make the moves because historically like they've been in the front and the things like that. So I guess that we will also have to take that move right now, and then not wait for anybody to give us permission to take the move. I think for me that's the key thing. So just having that courage to get up and then do everything that we need, because at the end of the day, when we do so, I think we are going to positively impact other women as well. And for me, I'd say that the qualities are the same, because I think we've learned through book club that we can learn a lot of the skills that we need to have to succeed in life, right? Through the experiences of other people. And so once women and then men have that capacity to equally learn those things, then yeah, I'd say that we are on the same page in terms of quality. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
let me add on.
Okay.
So I think, not that I think, I believe that the qualities are the same. However, as human beings, we have the capacity to learn and unlearn. So if the male society, the male-dominated society, or the men will learn to unlearn what society has taught us, I think it will make things a little bit easier for us. I'm not saying that you should just come with your 10 fingers and want to lead. Yes, you must put something on the table. You must show your hand. You must let people know your capabilities and where you are taking your followers to. However, if the men we have around us, or the men in our society, will unlearn the deep-seated cultural or societal beliefs, some of which are prejudice, and I think the light will show better for everyone to know that it is the same requirement. Therefore, if I have it, I must be given. Thank you.
All right, so I have a controversial point to make. Even though we may not have time to discuss it, but you see, typically, even though Mamiya, your point was saying that the men should unlearn certain things, typically, women actually pass on culture, and the reason why I say so is that most of the time, at least even in today's world, most of the time, most of our children spend more time with their mothers than they do with their fathers, right? And a lot of this culture, and in mothers, not just mothers who born them, but mothers, aunties, grandparents, at least in my experience and the people I've dealt with, you see, and most of this cultural ethos are passed on by these women to the children, the boys and the girls, So typically, I remember way back in the day, my grandmother would tell you that a man's bucket, you can drink from a man's bucket, but you can't drink from a woman's bucket, And this was my grandmother, not my grandfather. So my grandmother will tell you that, let's say, what they call it, she would tell that as for dishes, is the girl should go and wash the dishes. You go and sweep the hall, So, oh, sorry, your line is breaking. I didn't hear that. I mean, I repeat what you said. But I'm coming to a point.
We've gone past that long ago.
I'm coming to a point. Now, I came to secondary school. I came to secondary school. Now, I went to a mixed school. And my wife actually pointed this out. I didn't realize at the time. I went to a mixed secondary school. My headmistress for all my stay in secondary school was a woman. Now, I don't know if you realize this, but in secondary school, we voted for our head boy and head girl, right? We voted for them all. But eventually, the school prefect was always given to the male. So even though we voted for the head girl, we voted for the head boy, the school prefect was not dependent on how many votes whoever got. It was always given to the male. And then the girl, the head girl became the assistant school prefect, even though she's the head girl. Now, this is secondary school. This is no longer about women raising children. Now, this is an institution which for the better part, before I got there and even after I left, was run by a female head teacher. So why was it acceptable that even though we voted for them, the school prefect was not dependent on the votes that were cast, but by a convention, it was the male that became the school prefect and the female became the assistant school prefect, you see? So, I mean, this is just to make a point that even though, yes, men need to, unlearn certain things, I also strongly believe that women have the capacity to also empower themselves or empower or own the space where they are the ones driving the agenda or the ones making it possible for other women to actually lead, because I really believe that a lot of the resistance to women being in leadership also comes from the females themselves. I mean, so that's why I said it's a controversial point I'm making, but I mean, hey, I'm a doctor, so I'm allowed to be controversial sometimes.
you are allowed to be controversial, but I still kind of in a way believe that this whole thing will change after a couple of centuries to come, because you and I are still here, our grandparents are still around, and our parents are still around. So the question is, but then we can start from somewhere. And the question is, where do we start from? Right in your home, right in that office, right in that church, right in that shop that you always go to buy, and the male child is seated and it's allowed to. I lived in a house where there's this grown guy, and anytime, every Saturday and Sunday, they have to eat fufu. And the gentleman is sitting down and the ladies are pounding. I'm like, you are so lucky you don't live in my house. You probably will eat banchapiti. Yes, because it's this funny thing of bemena or banshuyena. It's that simple. So if we have all these people in our society giving preference to the male child, then yes, it's going to take us some centuries to get there, where you, the male child, when you come and you meet dishes in the sink, you clean it. When you come, it's your turn to take the bin out, you take it out. It's your turn to remove the laundries that go and dry it, just do it. If we start like that, I'm sure somehow, somewhere in our lifetime, we'll see some real good progress. So the discussion is not straightforward. If you ask me, it's not straightforward, but then we can get somewhere with it.
All right. Yes. I mean, this discussion, we can't finish it today, but yes, we do. We have sown some seeds. It starts from the home. Let's make sure that we are empowering both the man, and the boy and the girl. And so that, I mean, both of them can live up to their full potential. You see, because I mean, let us not place the limitation on them. And in fact, in the book, it says that the biggest obstacle is not out there, it's in our heads. So let us not let us not become the obstacle. Let's empower them to overcome the obstacles in their own heads, so that they can become the best version of themselves. That's why God gave them to us, because we can actually do it. So it's the power is ours. All right, guys, thank you very much for being here. It's been an engaging session.
So, Dr. Kavi, let me say something. Last one.
Yes. Yes.
I found out something recently, and I have to actually let the people know that it is not what it is. So there are a group of people who think that I am able to do what I set out to do, and I just do it with ease. So I have to let them know that I also second guess myself. And they go like, you? And I said, yes. If I wasn't second guessing myself, I would probably be like miles away from where you see me now. So, if you're like me, I second guess myself all the time, and sometimes it cripples me. If you're like me, I just want to say that by the time we are through with this book, your weaknesses are okay, but don't second guess yourself. Just go ahead and do whatever you want to do, because for me, I'm learning that if I wasn't second guess, if I wasn't overdoing it, I probably would be way ahead than I find myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I mean, I think that's a good note to end today's session. It's been a very engaging session. I'm very excited. And the book is an easy read for those who haven't started there. Grab your copy and let's get going. It's quite easy to read and has a lot of information. So we are going to meet here again next Saturday at 7 a.m. So let's do this, guys. Have a fabulous, fabulous week. Stay blessed. Signing out.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.